What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a look at some new promo cards, some big new promo cards, and I kind of like it because we've got the 4 Emperors, we got the promo cards up to and including promo card 100, they're all 10 cost 12k, they're all very big, and frankly, they're all kinda game enders, so let's go through in order, starting off with Shanks. We start here with 10 cost, 12,000 power, and on play and when attacking, your opponent cannot activate blocker this turn. Yes! That's awesome. Now it's kind of a weird one because the card doesn't have rush. So you end up in this weird situation where you play this down and your opponent can't activate blocker, but the one you really want to use it for is this, but you don't have rush, so you've kind of got to wait a turn and hope your opponent doesn't have any kind of removal. I mean, you are a 10 cost 12k, so it's not like this is going to be the easiest thing ever to actually remove. And then next turn, you get rolling. But of course, you can just play this and then attack with your other characters, and because it's an on play and when attacking, essentially just make sure that this is the first character that attacks every turn. It's the first character you play it before you attack with anything, and then on subsequent turns it's the first one with which you attack, and then essentially you end up in a situation where your opponent just doesn't have blocker, potentially for several turns in a row. And the thing is, you play this, your opponent has no blocker. You attack with this, your opponent has no blocker, and sure, they can then take this out and get blocker back the following turn. That's absolutely an option. But I don't have it this turn. And that's kind of my point here. What I really like about this is it basically says to your opponent, you can try and deal with this and get blocker back next turn. But you're not having it this turn. You're out of it for now. And that's what makes this such an enticing proposition, turning him off for a whole turn. Worth pointing out, of course, that the Sanji leader from Premium Booster 01 can give rush, but only to a character without an on-play effect and with a cost of 8 or less. And this does have an on-play effect and has a cost of 10, so frankly, miles away, ladies and gentlemen, miles away. Also worth pointing out, we do actually have a Shanks in OP12 that gives rush, but only to Roger Pirates characters, and this is unfortunately very much not a Rogers Pirates character, which is honestly kind of annoying. We have a Shanks that gives rush, but not to this Shanks. Either way, I kind of like this one. You play it, and your opponent doesn't get blocker for the turn, and then, essentially, until this gets removed, your opponent has no blocker, because you're going to attack with this every turn. It's going to be your first attack every turn, and that means that your opponent is just not going to have any blocker. And it is for the turn that your opponent doesn't have blocker, so, you know what? This seems like a mighty enticing proposition to me. But hey, it's not just Shanks. We've also got ourselves Buggy. 10 cost 12k, like I said, they've all got this. No counter to be found anywhere here. They've all got 10 cost, and they've all got 12k. And we've got blocker. This is a gigantic blocker. Big old blocker. There is, of course, a downside. The downside is, on play, if you don't have 5 characters of a cost of 5 or more, bottom deck this character. Yeah, this is for the Buggy deck. This is very deliberately for the Buggy deck here. Remember that Buggy deck, as I've told you several times before, is very much built on having that 10 cost Buggy, which is a great card, but you have to have 5 or higher cost characters in play in order to actually play it. So 4 plus itself. And then there's a whole bunch of other cards out there that basically work to help out, to work to try and make that happen. I showed you the Buggy starter deck the other day, which just had even more tricks along these lines to try and get that stuff rolling, as well as obviously this 10 cost Buggy. And now we've just got another trick. Obviously this is 5 cost or higher, it's a 10 cost, But it's worth noting it is a cross-skilled character. It's cross-skilled 4 Emperors. And remember, your leader Buggy says, activate main, rest 5 Don, trash a card from your hand, play a cross-skilled character from your hand. So yes, this is a 10-cost Buggy, but in a Buggy deck, you can play it as a 5-cost. This is why it's got the downside. 10-cost, 12k blocker, probably not good enough to have such a big downside. But then you add in the fact that Leader Buggy can actually play it for 5 cost, and yeah, that's kind of why we have to have this here. Otherwise, it could potentially get a little bit silly. But hey, now we got a 10 cost 12k with blocker that fits into that Buggy deck, can be played with your leader. This one again, I could see this one coming out and seeing some play there. Then we got ourselves Luffy. 10 cost, 12k, no counter. Again, same as we're expecting. And on attack, Don -10, activate this character. And basically this is a game ender. This is an I am going to end the game. Not the first time we've seen a Luffy with Don -10. Obviously, back in OP05, we had the big Luffy, the secret rare, that had Don -10 and also got rid of all of your characters. It gets rid of all of your Don. You've got to have maximum Don on the field, and then you've got to get rid of all of them in order for this to work, which is obviously just a huge ask. But then you activate this character, and this is a 12,000 power character. And look, this is really, really simple. If your opponent has no blockers, and you're pretty sure they can't counter 12k, and they've got 1 life, well, you swing with this, put them down to no life, Don -10, swing again. Now, you're going to have to play this and give your opponent a turn to try and remove it, set up blockers, etc. Could absolutely backfire. And this really is like a one-turn deal. You're not going to be Don -10ing every turn. Yes, I know we've got ways to get Don back with purple decks. I know that Black Maria is going to have an absolute field day here. Remember, this does not get rid of your characters. It just gets rid of your Don. So, yeah, you can absolutely use Black Maria here to get 5 of them back. And you can get your Don back in a couple of turns. That's not how I see this Luffy anyway. I'm seeing this Luffy as a pretty straightforward, I am going to smash, I'm going to Don -10, and then I'm going to come and smash again. I'm going to use this character in a situation where I'm pretty sure I'm winning the game. And essentially, it means rather than having 1 12k swing, I'm going to have a couple of 12k swings. The other sad thing here, of course, because you're Don -10ing, you can't just whack a bunch of Don on. I mean, you can, but you'll have to Don minus them in order to then activate. And to put simply, if you needed to put the extra Don on to get the first swing through, well, you won't have the Don on for the second swing, so the second swing ain't going to go through. And then we finish off with promo 100. It is Blackbeard. I'm collecting Japanese promos. I'm only missing a few. I need to catch up with the last few that I'm missing. And this is going to be number 100 in my binder. I love this one. 10 cost 12k, and it does what Blackbeard does. When attacking, your opponent's leader and all of their characters have no skills for this turn. Oh. Yeah. That's Blackbeard, all right. that is Blackbeard. That is Blackbeard doing Blackbeard things. And it seems strong. Like, really, really strong. Obviously, we know at this stage that Blackbeard is a very good deck. It's been a good deck since it came out. We all know that Blackbeard is just a thing at this point. And one of the things that Blackbeard does is it turns off your on-play skills as a leader skill. But then we've got a whole bunch of other stuff like Black Vortex that removes skills. There's a bunch of them. I'm not going through all of them. The point is, removing skills is Blackbeard's thing. It's what it does. This is its goal. Well, here, it's an attacking skill. So for your turn, not for your opponents, but on your turn, you can just get rid of all of the skills on the leader and all of the characters, and then just kind of have a fun old time with it. Make your opponent not able to do, like, anything, at least skill-wise on your turn. Again, this seems pretty good. It's another one that's an attacking skill, so you play it, hope your opponent doesn't have removal, and then roll from there. But turning off all skills, and like, I love how themed these ones are. You know, Shanks stops you blocking. Well, that's a very red deck kind of thing. Buggy is a blocker that you can play a bit cheaply, so there's a big downside. It fits into that Buggy deck perfectly. Luffy's got Dom -10, not the first time Luffy's had Dom -10, and then the double swing. And then Marshall D. Teacher Blackbeard turns off skills. These all do the kind of things we would expect them to do. But now it's over to you guys. I want to know how excited you are for these promos, so go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.